the Andy Audate podcast, where we dive into strategies for business growth by creating monthly recurring revenue through strategies and real life applications for CEOs and business owners. How are you doing today, Andy?
The opportunities don't show up, man. I'm here, baby. I'm here to lock and load.
We're here and we're ready to lock and load. Maybe I should start saying that too. Lock and load.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this week we have a very special outline for our podcast listeners, which we're going to talk about something very important in regards to the business, which is how to increase the bottom line to get 100K in sales. Now, we're going to focus on how to do this in like 99 days, which is not a lot of time, but realistically, someone could also do this in 30 days or they might do it in 6 months. But the key metric here is increasing your sales to 100K, right? Bottom line, increase. To start off, Andy, what would you say? How often are you kind of checking in with your team and yourself and your business as a CEO? How many times a day or a week do you ask yourself, like, where's the bottom line at? Or is that even a phrase that you use as a CEO?
I don't use the word bottom line, but I do it once a week. So we look at our profit, we look at our revenue every single week. And today happens to be the day, the two meetings before this, I had essentially 2 hours ago, I had a meeting with the accountant, and May was our highest revenue month. And we surpassed essentially the revenue of our marketing agency when we were a marketing agency, and we did it all with recurring revenue subscriptions. So we didn't even need high ticket agency work like $3,000 websites or $5,000 this or Facebook ads for 5 grand, whatever. We didn't need that. We were able to completely surpass our revenue just off selling software and subscription products. But we look at it once a week, every Monday. We follow a profit first system, by the way, and the profit first system is uh, based off of a book from Mike McAllowitz. That's his name. And every week we're looking at the numbers, being in relationship with the numbers, and then every day I'm looking at top line revenue month to date. So every day we're looking at what our month to date the top line revenue is, and then we're also looking at we have a Slack channel just for the stats Slack channel, and then someone calculates all of our monthly recurring revenue and puts it all into one Slack channel every single day, so that way the team knows exactly where we're at every 24 hours. We know exactly where we're at in monthly recurring revenue.
Gotcha, gotcha. So before you did the podcast, you already looked at your numbers, and this is something that you see on a weekly basis. You said like every week you're checking where's the revenue growth, what's percentage of increase, or even churn, things like that.
Every week we're looking at a couple of KPIs. One KPI we're looking at is top line revenue to date. That's every week. So we're looking at how much money came into the bank account from the first of the month all the way to the actual day, the actual date. So, for example, like on the 5th of January, on the 5th of June, we'll look at the bank account. We'll look at the money that came in, and then in that same meeting, we're also looking at the bottom line, which is how much money was left over, which is our profit. So we're calculating what was our revenue and what is our profit. And in order to know your profit, you gotta know how much money you're spending. So we look at our what we call our P&L, profit and loss. So it shows how much money came in, how much money went out, and how much money is left over in our profit. What I'm looking to make sure is that every week that we are growing our profit. That's what I'm looking to make sure. So that way, by the end of the month, I'm never surprised. I already know that what I'm on trend to do, what I'm on track to do. Now, that's the first metric that we're looking at. I do that with my accountant, and we meet every Monday at whatever the time is. I think 11 a.m. Every Monday, I'm in that meeting. It's real quick. He does all the QuickBooks update and so forth. And then on top of that, uh, every day, every week at that meeting, I take money from our deposit account and I distribute it amongst all the different bank accounts. We have 11 bank accounts, and I distribute it to all the bank accounts from operating expense bank account to payroll bank account to real estate investment account to the cash reserves account, tax account, saves. Like, so we have all of these accounts That happens on a weekly basis. So it's a quick meeting, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm able to see what the health of the business is. I'm able to see the profit. I'm able to see all of our expenses. I'm able to see our revenue. Now, because I have that data and we're tracking on a weekly basis, I'm able to compare it to previous weeks. So I'm able to say, hey, last week payroll was a little bit under. What changed? Payroll was $1,500 under than what it is today. What changed in this 1 week? What is different? And that's what makes the hell of a difference. That's going to be for the bottom line. So when you said bottom line, now for monthly recurring revenue, the overall front end of our team, the people who run sales, admin, tech team, the overall team, their objective is monthly recurring revenue, and they look at it every single day. And so we have a Slack channel of someone who goes in and calculates all of our monthly recurring revenue from all of our Stripe accounts, all of our affiliates, all of the sources of recurring revenue, and then they put it on a spreadsheet and they take a screenshot of that spreadsheet. They update Slack, and everyone in the team is notified of our monthly recurring revenue. And even just that, by daily basis, I'm able to see, oh, we went up $10. Oh, we went up $1,000. We went up $600. We went up $800 in a 24-hour time span. So that way we can identify what's working, what's not working.
I hear you. So the numbers, it sounds like, and I'm part of those Slack channels as well, and I have seen that there's like a report. There's multiple people kind of keeping eyes on the numbers. So you as the CEO, you're meeting with the accountant and you're saying, hey, we went up by 12%, a profit increase, but also you're monitoring operational costs. But then also you have the team members posting this is where we are with MRR. So numbers are all over the place. Like even though we're a digital based company, it reminds me of those offices where like when you walk in into a sales team bullpen, you would pretty much see a cross on a TV
Yeah.
like so and so made this much, so and so made this much, and if it was a bar graph, you would be able to see like, hey, let's say like I used to work in a sales company and everybody's goal was to make $1 million in 30 days, and it would be like, well, Lory is on third place and this person's sixth place. Would you say that even though you have a digital based business, like that is essentially what the team has created and you've created as the CEO? Like numbers are in front of everybody all the time for a good reason.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like when we don't look at our numbers, it's like a phenomenon that takes place. Our MRR goes down. Our monthly recurring revenue goes down. And it could go down for whatever reason. It could go down because one customer canceled a product and we would catch it. All right, we would catch it in 1 day, right? Even if it went down $50, we would catch it because you can see like, hey, there's a $50 difference between yesterday and today. Like we're looking at the numbers, right? It's when you don't look at the numbers that's when it doesn't make sense. That's when it's like, oh wow, that makes sense. So like for example, I remember we had a program, like we've launched so many courses and so forth, and I remember we had a program where there was some cancellations. I think 50 people canceled at one time. Not one time, over the course of some time. It could have been like 2 or 3 months. 50 people canceled in a program that had hundreds, if not thousands, years ago. And when we look at the numbers, I'm like, okay, $129 times $129 times 50. That's $6,450 in monthly recurring revenue. And if you have a few hundred customers, times that by 129, you end up losing $6,000. If you just see one after the other, you don't really think about it because you have so many, then you end up losing $6,000 and you don't even realize that. I'm able to identify that early on and make a shift and create additional value, identify a problem, create a solution quickly because I have my eyes on the prize every single day.
For sure. I 100% agree that it is important. And so let's say this, let's say somebody is listening to us right now. They're going to go look at their numbers. Maybe it serves as a good reminder, or they're already looking at their numbers and their goal is now to increase the bottom line by $100,000. What is one piece of advice that you would give them that would give them kind of like that stepping stone? And we'll have a part two, so I don't expect that's one thing is going to be an all solve everything at once, but many times decisions have to be made, right? As a CEO, like let's increase by 50K, let's increase by 100K. what would be that one piece of advice that someone's looking at their numbers right now and this is the next step for them? It's time to get their sales team up there.
Well, first and foremost, what I just shared with you is like for everyone, you got to look at your numbers on a daily basis. And I know, like, for example, I roll out of bed and I'm already looking at numbers. I'm looking at the bank account. Now, what I found over the years, the bank account's a liar, actually. Follow the P&L because you don't, there's so many, if you at least are, you have a lot of transactions. Like we have 11 bank accounts and there's transactions in each bank account on on a weekly basis and some on a daily basis. There's no way that I'm catching certain things, mentally. So what I look at is the cash balance. So I just look at the cash balance and I say, okay, from yesterday, mentally it increased. But the profit and loss is where I'm able to identify the health of the business in general. And so I would look at your have some metric that is like the big domino for your business. So for example, the big domino for our business, I'm not having my team look at the expenses that we take on. That's not what our team is looking at. No one is saying, "Oh man, we increase our expenses for ClickUp. We purchase additional licenses for ClickUp. Did you see that? No one on my team asked that. No one on my team is going saying, "Oh, we just bought a subscription to Canva. Oh my gosh." And we have so many other descriptions like we have Descript. We have a lot of other descriptions, subscriptions for other things, HubSpot, go high level, so on and so forth. And uh, the in that scenario, it, we are just looking at one metric, which is monthly recurring revenue, because that's the big domino for my business. The big domino, and when I say big domino, I want you to imagine like I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about the when you look at those on social media where like they push one domino down and then a bunch of other dominoes fall and it next thing you know it's pushing a car down the hill like that those scenarios. It doesn't start with the car down the hill. It's like one domino turns into pushing a ball and the ball turns into pushing this weight and then the weight turns into hitting a string and the string releases this big thing. So it's the same thing in business. So the big domino that you want to look at is what is one thing that you want to identify that is going to be the thing that's going to create the most movement for your business in the long term. And for us, it's always been monthly recurring revenue. The higher that our monthly recurring revenue goes, the more valuable our company is, and the more income that we can predictably get every single month. And so I have all eyes and all energy focused on that. Even if it doesn't move in a day, we got to look at it and say, it didn't move today. We got to do something different. It didn't move. $1, not even $1. It didn't move. We got to do something different. Now, in our business, we get customers every single day, but when I had this practice in the beginning where I would look at the monthly recurring revenue, I'm like, it didn't move today, and it'll go a whole 2 weeks, and like it didn't move. It didn't move. Nothing moved. I remember like a couple years ago, there was a specific March. It was a March. I was laying down on our couch, and the monthly recurring revenue didn't move for quite some time. And I remember I was like, I'm gonna go make a difference. And I created like a brand new offer. I enrolled a bunch of people into it, and I got on crazy webinars. I made phone calls to people that were uncomfortable for me to call, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna make sure that this moves, and we moved, and we almost tripled our monthly recurring revenue in a 40 something day window because I was paying attention to my number. Now, financially, we were comfortable. Right? It's like, hey, do we need the money? We could. I mean, no, we could use it. We could make a bigger impact. But the value of it is staying aware of where your numbers are at. That's going to make the shift for you in your business by being super clear.
Right. So let's dive deep into that a little bit more deeper. So from a tactical approach, right? So you're having these conversations as a CEO, maybe you having someone else on your executive team, or maybe it's just you, right, making that strategic pivot for to reach 100K. Is it as simple in your experience to be like make more calls, right, to the sales team or go clear out your pipeline by Friday? Or is it a little bit deeper than that in the sense of like you actually might have to go create a new product and as far as like hitting that 100K, adding that some people
Every
might be able
business
to
is
do
going to be
that.
different.
Yeah.
Like, so if we're talking about 100 grand in top line revenue, every business is going to be different. That could be as simple as, hey, you sell real estate. and you're talking about 100 grand in top line revenue, hey, go sell one house. But you could also be in my world where you sell software and online digital products, and then now to do 100 grand, you're gonna say, hey, I need 100 customers who pay me 997, right, or $1,000, or I need to go. Okay, maybe not 100. I need 50 people to put that pay $2,000, right, or 25 people, right. So you can keep playing that game to identify. Um, so I wouldn't say that there's one certain metric, there's one certain way to hit the 100 grand. What I would say though is if you're looking to make $100,000, you want to have a proven offer. That's something that you want to, and meaning that you want to, before you run ads to it, you want to at least sell one unit. I remember, I'll tell you, for example, in GoSAS launch, the way that GoSAS launch was created, we've done well over 100 grand on that program. But the way that GoSAS launch was created is uh, they, so there was a program. I spoke on stage, and I spoke on stage at Go High Level. I also did some trainings with them and so on and so forth. And my inbox was flooded. I'm talking about, whoa, there was such an increase in folks on in my inbox, and I wanted to serve the community. I saw some people who were struggling. I'm talking about people who were like, I'm operating a business that's essentially ineffective, right? They may have been operating a marketing agency that was not profitable, or they make a bunch of revenue and they don't have any time. And I remember this one gentleman scenario, and this one gentleman was like, I need your help. And he talked to me about his family, and I was enrolled in the support that this gentleman needed. And he's like, I need your help. So I said, all right, I'll help you, man. I'll help you. And I see him on Facebook, and I see his kids and so on and so forth. And I'm like, dude, I gotta help this guy. If I was blessed with this opportunity to and do well with Progreda, the least I could do is help someone, is support someone else in their journey, and at least drop some nuggets. So I said, well, how could I help you? What could I help you with? And he literally said, "Well, if you could help me with the website, if you could help me with the templates of the contracts, if you could help me with how to sell customers on webinars, if you could help me with how to onboard customers, if you could help me with how to get a virtual assistant. I see that you have many. Can you help me with at least get my first virtual assistant?" So he literally gave me everything that he needed, and I remember writing it down. I was at the office, and I remember writing it down, and I was like, "Okay, look, how much you want to, I'll help you." It wasn't even about the money. I just, I know you got to put money to invest. And I said to him, how much you want to pay for this? He said, I could pay X dollars. And I forgot the number, but it was a few thousand. I said, okay, if you pay this, which in my head, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do all of this for just a few thousand. But what was more important was this gentleman's relationship with his family. He's a husband like I'm a husband. He's a father to humans. I'm a father to a puppy. So he was like, I gotta make this work. So I said, all right. And then on top of that, Rose on our team was like, if we know something like how to grow a SaaS, there's people who need us. Let's support him. So I said, Rose, you're right. So I said, sir, if you pay right now, I'll create the program for you. I created the program for him. We got our first sale and Go SaaS launch. Second month, he quit. The second month, he quit. He left. He quit. He didn't quit on me. He quit on himself. But it's a that's part of the journey. So he didn't quit on Andy. He quit on himself, right? And now we have this content. And I went to some other folks and I said, "Hey, do you want it?" And they're like, "Yes, I'm in. Count me in." Hundreds and upon hundreds and hundreds of people later who are in the Go SaaS Launch program. Now we're hosting masterminds for Go High Level agencies and so on and so forth. So I shared that with you is because I created a offer that was already sold before creating it. So if you want to make 100 grand, one of the ways that I've done it is I sold the offer and it wasn't even created yet. I just asked the gentleman, "Hey, what would you like to be created? What are the what would you want to have inside your program?" And the offer was proven because he invested into it. Now he quit on the business himself shortly after, but regardless, he came to me And then I took that same concept that he shared that he wanted, and I went to someone else and I said, "Do you want it?" And they said, "Yes." And I went to another person and I said, "Do you want it?" And they said, "Yes." And then I went to another person and I said, "Okay, now we got something in our hands here. We'll work on this and we'll create it for you." So we created it for them. And then so from there, now we have hundreds of customers in that program. We're hosting events and masterminds and trainings, and we're talking about partnering up with some of the members in our community now in their business. So it's been much bigger than what I expected it to be. However, the way that we accomplished that is we sold it, and then we created it. And if you're in a dire need to make 100 grand, 100 grand is a lot of money. But if you're in a dire need to make 100 grand, that's one way that you could do it. Is create the product, is sell the product to a lot of people and then create it afterwards. That's called
Gotcha.
pre-sale.
Pre-sale. Right, right. Okay. Well, I think we could definitely dive more into details because I have more questions in regards to like the cross-selling and on the back end, the technology that you kind of had to set up because I think in that sense, the reason you were able to do hundreds of sales and more than 100K, I'm assuming you set it up on the back end with a lot of technology and automation so that the team can sell, 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 and fulfillment was okay. But that's a conversation for the next part too.
In the comment box, let me know if you're interested in understanding the back end infrastructure, and on the next video we could do it. If you're interested, if you're not, we won't do it. But if you are interested and you're like, hey, I want to learn what the hell did they do on the back end, I'll share with you what some of our back end was, what our strategy was, how we acquired hundreds of customers. And guess what? 99% of the customers were acquired without ads. Were acquired without ads. So same thing in Progreda. Like Progreda, we don't do a lot of ads, right? We have so many customers that don't. I mean, we just started running ads, I think 2 months ago for Progreda, but majority of our customers don't come from ads. Like we have different strategies with Facebook groups, joint venture partners, speakers, webinars that don't require advertising, paid advertising, and we've essentially mastered that. And I was forced to master that years ago when we were selling online courses, where I didn't have the money. Right, 2016, I didn't have a bunch of money. I just hit rock bottom from coming out of the. I came out of the cell phone industry, didn't make any revenue. I just spent a lot of money, all the money from my cell phone business, and then essentially hit rock bottom. I didn't have money for Facebook ads, so I had to figure out a new way. And then I got to a point where today we've generated over 600,000 leads, and majority of them isn't through paid advertising. We have other methods that honestly, like, it's so interesting. What would you do with if Facebook ads is so marketed? Like, do Facebook ads, but there's so many other methods that people don't take advantage of, which makes my marketing costs so low compared to my competitors, because we're like, hey, you're running Facebook ads and you only think there's one way to get leads. And I'm like, no, there's a plethora of different strategies. You just got to be able to set it up correctly. And if that's interesting to you, let me know in the chat comment box. And if that is on the next video, I'll go ahead in detail and share what our backend infrastructure look like, what our processes look like, what our email sequences look like, what our follow-up campaigns look like, and how many team members we have that help. Now, I do pay people to help deploy all of these campaigns, right? I have people, but we don't do it through ads. We have people who are part of the campaign. So I can share with you what it all looks like if that is interesting to you.
Yeah, for sure. I think I mean we can even do screen share here. We can do like the sharing, like I said, the back end, because I do think the tactical application step by step would really help CEOs, business owners understand it. It is a little bit more, not a little bit more, but there's actually steps on the technology side that helps in reaching the 100K easily. Once you just
Yeah.
create it once, set it up, and then you just sell, sell, sell.
So
So
for example, like today, like when we sell years ago, when I used to sell an online course, the journey was something like along the lines of this. The journey was, hey, I had to go ahead and so we would get a course sale, and I would say, Fatima, that was my executive assistant at the time. I would say, Fatima, we got a sale for the elite presenter speaker course. Okay, $5,000. I need you to send in the contract, and the next day they'll go send the contract, and then she'll send an email to the person. Here's the contract to sign, and then the person will, you know, paid us in Stripe, but like the time between the payment to the contract might have been 6 hours, so the person's already with their family doing something else, waiting for the contract. Then they send it to the contract. Then the contract's sent. My executive assistant sends a contract. Then when the executive assistant sends a contract, it goes into spam. So we're texting the customer like, "Hey, the contract is in your inbox." The customer goes into the inbox, looks for it, doesn't find it, responds back, and then says, "I couldn't find it." And then the next day is when my assistant finds the contract, the email, and says, "I just resent it." And the client is that says, "Oh, you know what? It was in spam. I just reviewed it. You know what? Here's a signature." Then my executive assistant sees a signature, and then they go into our system and then send it the course manually. That may take 3 or 4 days. Today, that whole process is all automated in less than 4 minutes. One page is the purchase. Next page is the contract. There's automations that work in the back end to make sure that it's verified, and then we send out the course. That can all happen in 4 minutes. On the next video, if that's interesting to you to like break all these things down, how we sell, how we automate, how we streamline, I can share that with you in the next video for sure.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll definitely set that up. And like Andy said, let us know in the comments if that's something you're interested. The back end, the emails, text automations, the team structure. We're definitely open to sharing that. So, but we do want to make sure we're serving people and their needs. So let us know if that's something you want us to do. Is there anything else that you want to add for today's podcast, Andy?
I mean, if you're here and you're listening, stay tuned, subscribe, because you're already in the right place of learning what's necessary. You're already here in the right place of learning what's necessary. So the next step right now is for you to take action. And so the first thing that I would do is I would go listen to my customers and go identify what are some of the things that they need, and then present to them an offer and say, hey, I can have that set up for you. This is how much it will cost. Would you be willing to invest? If they say yes, take the payment, pre-sell it, and then go ahead and fulfill and create the product.
Amazing. Well, we see you all. We'll see you all in the next episode. That wraps up today's. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes.